It's only like maybe like a couple more. Once we finish this, we'll probably go to Zakatul Fitr, and then Salatul Eid. Zakatul Fitr, and then Salatul Eid, and then inshallah we'll be done. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين اللهم انفعنا بما علمتنا وعلمنا ما ينفعنا اللهم زدنا علما إنك أنت عليم حكيم اللهم اجعل هذه المحاضرة حجة لنا لا حجة علينا يا رب العالمين أما بعد. This is our 6th class in going through the book Zad al-Mustaqni' the Abu Najah Musa al-Hajjawi rahimahullah ta'ala. We've reached the chapter Babu ma yukra'u wa yustahabbu fi as-sawm wa hukm al-qada. Those things that are recommended and those things that are hated to do when a person that is fasting, and the ruling on making up missed fasts. The ruling on making up missed fasts. So the Shaykh rahimahullah ta'ala, he starts off by saying, قال المصنف رحمه الله يكره جمع ريقه فيبتلعه. So right now, for starters, the Shaykh rahimahullah ta'ala, he's going to be mentioning some things that are not recommended to do while a person is fasting. Some things that are not recommended to do while a person is fasting. Through the course of that, he will also mention some things that are impermissible to do while a person is fasting. So he starts off, rahimahullah, he says, يُقْرَأُ جَمْعُ رِيقِهِ فَيَبْتَلِعُهُ. The first thing, that it is hated for a person to gather saliva in their mouth and then swallow it while they are fasting. To gather saliva in a person's mouth while they are fasting and then swallow it. This is something that is hated. It is not muharram. It is not impermissible, but rather it is hated. Something that is not recommended. The next one, وَيَحْرَمُ بَلْعُ النُّخَامَةِ وَيُفْتِرُ بِهَا فَقَدْ إِنْ وَصَلَتْ إِلَى فَمِهِ. The next issue is just something that is impermissible. Phlegm. If it's in a person's chest, if they cough it up, you know the sound that it makes. If you cough that up and then swallow it, this breaks a person's fast. If you cough up phlegm and then swallow it, this breaks a person's fast. However, if it comes to a person's mouth, if you cough it up, then you should spit it out. But if you swallow it, then this breaks a person's fast. So then, so far the first thing we mentioned was what? Saliva. If a person has saliva in their mouth while they are fasting, and then swallow it, what does it do?
Breaks the person's fast.
La, that's not what I said. Pay attention to the point. If a person has saliva in their mouth and they swallow it, what happens? It doesn't break your fast, but it is what? It is hated. If a person has phlegm or something in their chest and they cough it up and then swallow it, this what? This breaks a person's fast. This here breaks a person's fast. طيب. وَيُقْرَأُ ذُوقُ الطَّعَامِ بِلَا حَاجَةً. So the second thing that is hated. So the first thing that is hated is what? Swallowing saliva in a person's mouth while they are fasting. This is hated. The second thing that is hated is what? Tasting food not out of necessity. Tasting food. Bila haja. Tasting food. What do you mean by tasting food? Let's say, for example, someone is cooking. And you're fasting and they're cooking for iftar. And they want to know, is it too much salt? Is it this? Is it that? It's permissible to taste it on the tip of your tongue, to taste it. However, this tasting here becomes muharram if that taste goes down to the throat. If that taste then travels down to the throat and that person tastes it as if they are eating it, in this case, it breaks the person's fast. Is that clear? طيب. وَمَضْغُ عِلْكٍ قَوِيٍّ. And the third thing that is hated is chewing on gum that is solid. Now, I haven't seen this type of gum here, but they have gum like this in some of the Muslim countries. It's really hard, like rocks. If you chew on it, it doesn't have a taste. It's something to chew. If it says, وَإِنْ وَجَدَ طَعْمَهُمَا فِي حَلْقِهِ أَفْطَرَ. However, if a person finds, if they chew this type of gum and they find the taste of that gum in their throat, it breaks their fast. Well, it's hard to picture this because we don't have that type of gum here. All right? I haven't seen any gum like that. But the next type here, وَيَحْرَمُ الْعِلْقُ الْمُتَحَلِّلُ إِنْ بَلَعَ رِيقَهُ. The next type that is muharram is regular chewing gum. The chewing gum that changes form. It starts off solid, and when you chew it, it changes its form, and you find in it a taste that you can actually swallow the flavor and so on and so forth. This here is impermissible. In bala ariqahu. If a person were to chew that and swallow their saliva from chewing that gum, it breaks their fast. It breaks their fast. طيب. A person asks, is it permissible to brush your teeth while you're fasting in Ramadan? Ajib, anybody know is it permissible to brush your teeth? Huh? Brush your teeth with toothpaste. Permissible or no? Permissible. But yeah. What are you not to do? You should not swallow the toothpaste. You should not swallow the toothpaste. If a person is brushing their teeth while they're fasting, labas. You use the toothpaste and toothbrush, no problem. The problem is if you swallow. If you swallow it unintentionally, you did not intend to swallow it, inshallah khair. Lakin if a person intends to swallow toothpaste, then it's what? It breaks their fast. It breaks their fast. And this is the statement of many of the ulama with regards to this issue. The next thing that is hated, or on the fourth thing that is hated, وَتُقْرَأُ الْقُبْلَةُ لِمَنْ تُحَرِّكْ شَهْوَتَهُ. The next thing that is hated is for a person to engage or to kiss his or her spouse while they are fasting if they are a person whose desires are very strong. That could lead to something else. In this case, it is hated for this person to kiss his or her spouse while they are fasting. Al-Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam, as was mentioned in the hadith, Abi Hurairah radiallahu ta'ala anhu, wherein he said, Naha, or it is said that the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam, Naha anha shabban wa rakhasa lil-shaykh. Al-Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam, he prohibited this for a shab. A shab is a young man. Wa rakhasa lil-shaykh, and made it acceptable or easy for a person that is older, a person that is of old age. وكذا عن ابن عباس كان رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم يقبل وهو الصائم لما كان مالكا لإربه. النبي عليه الصلاة والسلام, he used to kiss his spouse or his wife while he was fasting, but the Prophet عليه الصلاة والسلام was one known to control his desires, طيب. The next issue. وَيَجِبُ اجْتِنَابُ كَذِبًا. So now, the Shaykh rahimahullah ta'ala, he's going to mention some things that are obligatory for a person to stay away from. Obligatory for a person to stay away from while they are fasting. Rather, these things are obligatory for a Muslim to stay away from at all times. However, with regards to fasting, it is more stressed. It is highly stressed. It is something that a person should contemplate and think about more often, especially when they are fasting. So the Shaykh rahimahullah, he says, وَيَجِبُ اجْتِنَابُ كَذِبًا. It is wajib for a person while they are fasting and outside of fasting to stay away from al-kadhib, lying, وَغِيبَةً, and backbiting, وَسُنَّ لِمَنْ شُتِمَ قَوْلُهُ إِنِّي صَائِمٌ. And it is also sunnah for the one who is cursed or oppressed, cursed with foul language or what have you, for that person to say, Inni sa'imun, to inform that person that you are fasting. To inform that person that you are fasting. وَتَأْخِيرُ السُّحُورِ وَتَعْجِيلُ الْفِطْرِ. It is also highly recommended for the Muslim to delay the suhoor. What is the suhoor? Does anyone know what the suhoor is? Huh? The morning meal. They say delay the morning meal until when exactly? Huh? Until closer to the time of Fajr. Until close, very close to the time of Fajr. وَتَأْخِيرُ السُّحُورِ السَّحُورِ وَتَعْجِيلُ الْفِطْرِ. And be quick to break your fast. So delaying the suhoor and quickly breaking one's fast when it's time for the iftar. A person should quickly break their fast. طيب. The next thing is when it's time to break a person's fast. What is sunnah for them to eat or to break their fast with? The Shaykh rahimahullah ta'ala, he mentioned that it is sunnah for a person to break their fast ala rutabin, rutab. Is anyone familiar with what a rutab is? Huh? Tamar. What type of tamar is a rutab? Does anyone know? Dates. They have many different types, right? What is rutab? Does anyone know? Soft? Yeah, dates that are moist. Rutab are moist dates. And this is due to the hadith of Anas radiallahu ta'ala anhu. He said, كان رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم يفطر على رطبات قبل أن يصلي فإن لم تكن فعلى التمرات. And Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam, when he would break his fast, he would break his fast with rutabat. Rutabat are the soft, moist dates. The majhul dates that most people buy here are not considered rutab. In fact, where do they sell rutab dates here? Across the street from Masjid al-Jamia. They have some dates that are rutab there. And I think in some of the halal food stores they may have them, but they will be separate. You won't find them in the big containers. At any event, طيب. It says, فَإِنْ عُدِمَ فَإِنْ عَدِمَ فَتَمْرٌ. And then the Prophet ﷺ, if he couldn't find rutab, then he would break his fast with tamrun. Tamrun is like the regular dates that we see, the ones that, the majhul dates that everyone buys. That's the second grade, right? فَإِنْ عَدِمَ. And if you do not have that, فَمَاءٌ. Then a person breaks their fast with water. Breaks their fast with water. And then after that, the Shaykh rahimahullah, he says, وَقَوْلُ مَا وَرَدْ. And then after that, you make the dua, or you say that which is narrated in terms of breaking the fast. And there's a hadith that many people know. The hadith that goes, ذَهَبَ الظَّمَأُ وَابْتَلَتِ الْعُرُوقُ وَثَبَتَ الْأَجْرُ إِنْ شَاءَ اللَّهِ. This is a dua that is many people know, and a person makes this dua when it is time for them to break their fast. We also have online, there is a dua that one of the brothers made to teach a person how to actually say this dua when they're breaking their fast. Inshallah, we will get that to you. Help a person to memorize these specific adiyah that will aid a person in the system in praying and making this dua when it is time to break their fast. طيب. The next issue here, we're going to talk about al-qada. What is al-qada? Does anyone know what al-qada is? Huh? Say again. Expiation. Qada. يستحب القضاء متتابعا. Al-qada here is talking about how to make up missed fasts. So for example, if you are fasting in Ramadan and you're traveling, or you're sick or what have you, and let's say you have 5 days to make up. 5 days that you missed in Ramadan and you need to make those days up. This is called al-qada. But in this case, anything that you miss that is obligatory for you to do, making them up is called qada. In certain cases, there's also, we're going to cover that in a minute, there's also something else that is sunnah that a person must make up as well. And we'll talk about that shortly, insha'Allah ta'ala. طيب. وَيُسْتَحَبُّ الْقَضَاءُ مُتَتَابِعًا. It is recommended for a person, or it is highly recommended for a person to make up the missed fast fawran, yani right away. Right away, one after another. So if you have 5 days, you don't do one, then you wait a week, then you do another one, you wait a week. Rather, it is recommended for that person to make up that fast fawran, yani right away. طيب. Making up that fast right away, this is something that is highly recommended, specifically in the school of Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal rahimahullah ta'ala. ولا يجوز إلى رمضان آخر من غير أذر. It is not permissible for a person to delay making up their fast until the upcoming Ramadan, until that Ramadan happens without an excuse. If a person does this without an excuse, athim, then they are sinful. If a person does this without an excuse, then they are sinful. فَإِنْ فَعَلَ. And if this happens, let's say for example, you have 5 days that you missed from last Ramadan, and now we're going into a new Ramadan, and you still have days from the previous year, and they have no excuse for not making those days up, then this person is atham, they are sinful. فَإِنْ فَعَلَ فَعَلَيْهِ مَعَ الْقَضَاءِ إِطْعَامُ مِسْكِينَ لِكُلِّ يَوْمٍ. If a person reaches Ramadan, and they have those days to make up, then for each day that they miss, they have to also feed a poor person. They must also feed a poor person, لِكُلِّ يَوْمٍ, for every day that they missed. طيب. وَإِنْ مَاتْ وَلَوْ بَعْضَ رَمَضَانَ آخَرٍ. If a person has an excuse, and they die, let's say for example, a person has an excuse to delay making up their fasts, and they die before they make up their fast, some of the ulama, they mentioned, لا بأس, yani, they don't have the sin is not upon them. وَإِنْ مَاتَ. However, if they pass away, then it is still for their family members to take care of that for them, and we're going to speak about that in a little bit. وَلَوْ بَعْضَ رَمَضَانَ آخَرٍ. Even if it is after that Ramadan. And then so the next issue now is وَمَنْ مَاتَ وَعَلَيْهِ صَوْمَ النَّذْرِ. We have something called a nadhr. Has anyone ever heard of a nadhr? What is a nadhr? A vow. Like what? When would a person ever do something like that? Do we find people doing that in our society? Yes or no? Do people make vows here? Yes? Give me an example of one. So, like what? Give me an example. Give me an example. La. So here, when we mention another, let's say for example, say for example, you're in a bad situation financially, and you say, man, if I pay this bill, I'm going to fast for 10 days straight. If I can get the money to pay this bill, I'm going to fast for 10. This is called another. Or if you say, if I get this new job, I'm going to make Hajj the following year. Or if you say, if I get married, then I'm going to make i'tikaf this Ramadan. Or if you say anything, if you say, if I get this, then I'm going to do this. The thing here is, if you say if you want something, you say, if Allah gives me this, then I'm going to repay Allah by doing this act of worship. By this act of worship. This act of worship now becomes obligatory for you to do. Once that thing happens, that you want it to happen from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, at that point in time, that act of worship becomes obligatory. Meaning, so the Shaykh Rahimahullah, he says, وَمَنْ مَاتَ, whoever dies, وَعَلَيْهِ صَوْمٌ, whoever dies and they have a fast, like this type of fast. If Allah does this, then I'm going to do this. Or they have upon them a hajj, like this type of hajj. If I get this new job, I'm going to make hajj. Or if they have i'tikaf, if they say, if I get married, then I'm going to make i'tikaf. Or if they say, if this happens, then I'm going to pray this. If a person dies and they have on their neck these type of oaths or vows, if you will, إِسْتُحِبَّ لِوَلِيَّهُ قَضَاؤُهُ, then if they pass away, their wali, it is recommended that their wali makes up those days for them. واضح? طيب. What is a wali? That's a whole different conversation. What is a wali here? What are they talking about? Huh? What's a wali? No one knows what a wali is? Yeah, Juan. A guardian. Huh? What type of guardian? One who is responsible of the affairs of someone. Yani. Is there a definition more daqiq? Is there a definition more specific than that? Huh? A definition that is more specific in general is a wali is a blood lineage family member who inherits. A inheritor. Generally speaking, this is in general. There's difference with regards to a wali for a woman in marriage and so on and so forth, but here is a general wali. A wali is a family member of inheritance. And this is due to the statement of the Prophet alayhi salatu wassalam. It says, أن الامرأة جاءت إلى النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم فقالت, a woman, she came to the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, and she said, Inna ummi matat wa alayha sawm nadar afa asumu anha. She came to the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, and she said, my mother passed away, and she had a fast that was another. So she said, should I fast for her? Should I fast on her behalf? And Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam qala na'am. He said, yes. وَلِأَنَّ النِّيَابَةَ تَدْخُلُ فِي الْعِبَادَةِ بِحَسَبَ خَفَّتِهَا. Here, this woman is a niyaba. The daughter is taking the place of the mother and fulfilling that obligation. So then here, the wali here is not necessarily talking about a man. Rather, it's talking about a bloodline, a blood lineage family member. A blood family member. طيب. And it says, Al-Wali huwa al-warith. Al-Wali huwa al-warith. Here, a wali here in this context is talking about a warith. What is a warith? Does anyone know? A warith is a person who inherits. A person who inherits from you. Okay? Every family member don't necessarily inherit. And this is a whole nother conversation. However, here, the immediate family members that will inherit, obviously fulfilling the conditions of inheritance, so on and so forth. Any questions about that? طيب. Now we're going to move on to the second chapter, Babu Sawm at-Tatawwu'. the recommended or the sunan fast that a person can do outside of Ramadan. So the Shaykh Imam Musa al-Hajjawi rahimahullah ta'ala, he says, وَيُسَنُّ الصِّيَامُ أَيَّامِ الْبَيْضِ. How many people are familiar with the white days? Fasting the white days. And what are the white days? And why are they called the white days? And so on and so forth. Does anyone know? What are the white days? Huh? 13th, 14th, 15th. The 13th and 14th and 15th of each month. What month are we in now? Huh? What month is this? May, right? This is May. So if we fast the 13th, the 14th, and the 15th of May, these are the white days, right? So, like, what are the white days? Are those the blue days? Huh? What are the white days?
The white days are in the Islamic calendar.
On the Islamic calendar. Like, what month are we in? Sha'ban. We're in the month of Sha'ban. Like, what's the date in Sha'ban? Does anyone know? The 4th? The 4th of Sha'ban? Like, when is Ramadan? Almost 3 weeks away? Inshallah. Allahumma balaghna Ramadan. Ameen. So it says, يُسَنُّ الصِّيَامُ أَيَّامَ الْبَيْضِ. It is recommended to fast the white days of every month. And this is due to the statement of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, where he said, إِذَا صُمْتَ مِنَ الشَّهْرِ ثَلَاثَةَ أَيَّامٍ فَصُمْ ثَلَاثَ عَشَرَةَ وَأَرْبَعَ عَشَرَةَ وَخَمْسَ عَشَرَةَ. An-Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam, he said, if you're going to fast 3 days in every month, then you should fast the 13th, the 14th, and the 15th of every month. Some people may say, well, why is it considered the white days? You'll find during those days, it's a full moon. During those days, it's a full moon. Al-Qamar, you can see it clear in the sky. 3 days of a full moon. Wal-Abyad, wal-Ithnain, wal-Khamis. Another days that are recommended for a person to fast is Yawm al-Ithnain and Yawm al-Khamis. Yawm al-Ithnain is Monday and Yawm al-Khamis is Thursday. It is recommended for a Muslim to fast on those 2 days. قال النبي صلى الله تفضل.
White days, who call it white days?
كيف يعني? The name أيام البيض.
No, the white day. Is it in Muslim?
The hadith about the white days, I'll get it for you inshallah. But this hadith here is in At-Tirmidhi. In terms of Ayyam al-Bayd, the word Bayd, why is it called white days? The hadith for that, I'll get that for you inshallah. طيب. Al-Ithnain wal-Khamis. Mondays and Thursdays. قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم هما يومان تعرض فيهما الأعمال على رب العالمين وأحب أن يعرض عملي وأنا صائم. رواه أحمد والنسائي. And Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam, he said, Mondays and Thursdays are the days that our actions will be judged or looked at. تُعْرَضُ فِيهِمَا الْأَعْمَالِ. Our actions will be sent to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He says, so on these days, أُحِبُّ, I will love that my actions are sent to Allah while I am fasting. While I am fasting. طيب. وَسِتٌّ مِّن شَوَالٍ. It is also sunnah for a person to fast 6 days min the month of Shawwal. The month of Shawwal is when? Before Ramadan or after Ramadan? You sure? When is the month of Shawwal? Immediately after Ramadan. Sah? Then once Ramadan finishes, there are 6 days in the month of Shawwal that is recommended for a person to fast. قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم من صام رمضان واتبعه بست من شوال فكأنما صام الدهر. أخرجه مسلم. And Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam, he said, whoever fasts the month of Ramadan وَأَتْبَعَهُ سِتًّا مِنْ شَوَالٍ or min Shawwal, and follow up fasting Ramadan with 6 days in the month of Shawwal, فَكَأَنَّمَا صَامَ الدَّهْرُ. It is as if they were fasting all the time. And this hadith was reported by Imam Muslim. طيب. It is recommended that a person follows that up immediately after Ramadan. It is recommended that a person follows this up immediately after Ramadan. طيب. وَشَهْرُ مُحَرَّمْ. It is also recommended to fast the month of Muharram. The whole month? لا. يعني most of the month. Or a lot of the month. A person may say, where'd you get this from? Never heard this in my life. Hadith of the Prophet ﷺ. He says, أفضل الصيام بعد رمضان شهر الله المحرم. And this hadith was reported by Imam Muslim. He said, the best fast after Ramadan is the month of Allah, the month of Muharram. The month of Muharram. And this hadith was also reported in Muslim. وَآكَدَهُ الْعَاشِرُ ثُمَّ التَّاسِعُ. And if a person is not able to fast most of the time during the month of Al-Muharram, when is Muharram anyway? Does anyone know? What is Muharram? The month of Muharram, what is it? The first month of the Islamic calendar year. So then what month do we have remaining? We know that the month of Ramadan is the 9th month. What is the 10th month? Does anyone know? Shawwal. What's after Shawwal? Dhul Qa'dah or Dhul Qi'dah. What's after that? Dhul Hijjah. What happens during Dhul Hijjah? Hajj. Ahsant. And what's after Dhul Hijjah? Muharram. Ahsant. Then, after the month, once Muharram comes, if a person is not fasting that month or most of that month, then that person can fast the 9th or the 10th. The 9th or the 10th of Muharram. As the Prophet ﷺ, he said, لَإِن بَقِيتُ إِلَى قَابِلٍ لَأَصُومَنَّ التَّاسِعُ وَالْعَاشِرِ. And Nabi ﷺ, he said in an authentic hadith reported by Muslim, he said, if I will live into the next year, I will fast the 9th and the 10th of Muharram. I will fast the 9th and the 10th of Muharram. Fasting on Yawm Arafah or Yawm Ashura. Malish. Fasting Yawm Ashura, this is the 10th of Muharram. He says, كَفَارَةَ السَّنَةَ وَيُسَنُّ فِيهِ التَّوْسِيَةَ عَلَى الْعِيَالِ. This here will remove the sins of a year. It will remove a sins for a year. And after fasting those days, then the next fast that is highly recommended, تسعي ذي الحجة. تسعي ذي الحجة ويوم عرفة لغير حاج بها. The next one is fasting the first 10 or the first 9 days of Dhul Hijjah. The first 9 days of Dhul Hijjah. And Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam, he said, ما من أيام عمل الصالح فيهن أحب إلى الله من هذه الأيام يعني العشر. قالوا يا رسول الله. طيب. So here the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam, he said that there are no days that righteous actions are more accepted in them. فيهن أحب, more beloved to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala than these first 10 days of Dhul Hijjah. The first 10 days of Dhul Hijjah. And these 10 days are recommended to fast except for the 10th, obviously. However, for the one that is fasting, the first 9 days, then after that, it is recommended to fast Yawm Arafah, the day of Arafah, if you are not making Hajj. If you are not making Hajj, it is recommended for you to fast on that day as well, due to the hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Likewise, it is reported in Muslim where he said, صيام يوم عرفة أحتسب على الله أن يكفر السنة التي قبله والسنة التي بعده. And Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam, he said, if a person fasts Arafah, the day of Arafah, and they're not making Hajj, then this fasting will wipe away the sins from the previous year and from the forthcoming year or the upcoming year. So you have a year in the past and a year in present, that it will wipe away the sins for fasting this one day, Yawm Arafah. And then the Prophet ﷺ, he said with regards to fasting Ashura, he said, "Inni ahtasibu ala Allahi an yukaffira sanata allati qablahu." Rawahu Muslim. And Nabi ﷺ, he said, "Indeed, I consider that fasting on Ashura, the day of Ashura, it will wipe away the sins from the previous year. It will wipe away the sins from the previous year." طيب. Still have time? طيب. طيب. وَأَفْضَلُهُ صَوْمٌ. So what is the best type? The best type of fasting is أَفْضَلُهُ صَوْمُ يَوْمٍ وَفِطْرُ يَوْمٍ. The best type of fasting is the fast of Dawood alayhi salam. A person fasts one day and break their fast the next day. Fast one day and break the fast the next day. Some of the ulama, they mention with regards to this, وَشَرَطُهُ أَنْ لَا يُضَعِّفُ الْبَدَنِ. So some of the ulama, they make some prerequisites for this type of fast. They say, well, from the condition of fasting this type of fast, أَنْ لَا يُضَعِّفْ الْبَدَنِ, that a person's body does not become weak, حَتَّى يَعْجَسَ عَمَّا هُوَ أَفْضَلُ مِنَ الصِّيَامِ. So the ulama, they mentioned that this type of fasting, if a person fasts one day and break their fast the next day, a person can do this as long as this doesn't take away from a type of worship that is better than that. What type of worship is better than that? So they mention كَالْقِيَامِ بِحُقُوقِ اللَّهِ تَعَالَى, fulfilling the rights of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that is not, obviously not recommended. Or حُقُوقِ عِبَادَةَ اللَّازِمَةِ, or the rights of Allah's slaves that is obligatory for a person to do. وَإِلَّا فَتَرْكُهُ أَفْضَلُ. If a person can't do those things, fulfill the rights of Allah and fulfill the rights of the slaves of Allah that is obligatory, in this case, then it is better that that person leaves off this type of fasting. The next one, the Shaykh rahimahullah, he says, وَيُكْرَهُ إِفْرَادُ رَجَبٍ وَجُمْعَةِ وَالسَّبْتِ وَالشَّكِّ. So the Shaykh rahimahullah, he also mentions that it is hated for a person to single out the month of Rajab and fast. Singling out the month of Rajab and fast, as this is something from the days of Jahiliyyah. This is a bid'ah in Islam to consider, just single out the month of Rajab alone for fasting. But it is also not recommended for a person to fast Yawm al-Jum'ah by itself or Yawm al-Sabt by itself. And Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam, he mentioned in an authentic hadith that we can find in Sahih al-Bukhari and Sahih Muslim, and Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam, he said, لا تصوم يوم الجمعة إلا وقبله يوم أو بعده يوم متفق عليه. And Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam, he said, do not fast Yawm al-Jum'ah. Do not fast the day of Jum'ah, except that you fast a day before it or a day after it. And likewise, fasting Yawm al-Sabt, Saturday. And Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam, he mentioned, لا تصوموا يوم السبت إلا فيما افترض عليكم. Do not fast Yawm al-Sabt, yani Saturday, unless it's a day that is obligatory for you to fast. The next type of fasting, and if you were following the class from the beginning, we mentioned about the certain days in which is considered doubtful and those that are not considered doubtful with regards to spotting the crescent moon. Ayam al-Shak, Yawm al-Shak, the day of doubt. And so it says the day of doubt, huwa Yawm al-Thalathim min Sha'ban, the 30th night or the 30th day of Sha'ban. Okay, so how do we identify the night in the day in Islam? When does it start? What comes first? The night or the day, or the day or the night? The night comes first. Tayyib. So today is what? What is today's date? The first. Tayyib. When would the first start in Islam? Would it start after? When would the second start? At midnight or at Maghrib? Huh? After Maghrib. So after Maghrib would be the 2nd of May, for example. So it will be the 2nd of May will start at Maghrib, and the day of May, or the 2nd day of May, will start after Fajr. Wadih? Is that clear? If you're confused, just go back to the first lesson we did on Book of Salat, and all of this is explained in a lot of detail. So the Shaykh Rahimahullah Ta'ala, they explain that the day of doubt, إِذَا لَمْ يَكُنْ غَيْمٌ وَلَا نَحْوِي. If a person goes out on the night of the 30th looking for the crescent moon, and there's no cloudiness outside, the sky is clear, they don't see it, but maybe we missed it, so on and so forth, so they fast anyway. This here is considered the fasting of doubt. And Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam, he warned them from fasting on the day of doubt when he says, "Man sama al-yawm alladhi yashukku fihi faqad asa Abul Qasim." And Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam, they mention whoever fasts a day that they are doubtful about, then they have disobeyed Abul Qasim. They have disobeyed the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. And another issue here, yukra al-wisal. Are any of you guys familiar with al-wisal? Al-wisal is when a person fasts continuously, consecutive days. This is something that is not recommended. وَهُوَ أَنْ لَا يُفْطِرُ بَيْنَ الْيَوْمَيْنِ أَوْ أَيَامٍ وَلَا يُكْرَهُ إِلَى السَّحَرِ. It is hated for a person to fast consecutive days. Say, for example, today is Ramadan, for example, we're fasting, and a person says, I'm not going to break my fast for 2 days. This is al-wisal. Some say it is impermissible, but according to the fiqh of Imam Ahmed, they consider it to be hated. It's considered to be hated, not recommended. What is not hated, if a person wanted to fast all the way up until suhoor, this is permissible. And instead of a person breaking their fast at iftar, they say, hey, I want to wait until suhoor and break my fast then. This is jaiz. La yukrahu ila sahar. It is not hated to do it. Halakin wa tarkuhu awla. However, it is better to leave it off. It is better to leave it off, but it's not hated if a person were to do it. Allah Ta'ala a'lam. This is our last part here. وَيَحْرَمُ صَوْمَ الْعِيدَيْنِ وَلَوْ فِي فَرْضٍ. It is haram for a person to fast either of the Eids, Eid al-Fitr or Eid al-Adha. It is muharram for a person to fast on those 2 days. وَالصِّيَامُ أَيَّامَ التَّشْرِيقِ. Ayyam al-Tashriq are the 3 days after the Eid al-Adha. These are the 3 days that the pilgrims are staying in Mina. Inshallah ta'ala, we'll expound upon that more as Hajj comes around. We'll have a class on Hajj, inshallah, to explain what goes on during Hajj. إِلَّا أَن دَمْ مُتْعٍ وَقِرَانٍ. And likewise, mut'ah or mut'in, mut'atan wa qiranin are 2 types of Hajj that a person can make. And these people do not bring their hadi. They don't bring their sacrificial animal with them. And inshallah ta'ala, we'll talk about that when Hajj comes around, as it may be too detailed to get into right now. وَمَنْ دَخْلَ فَرْضًا مُوَسَّعْ حَرُمَ قَطْعُهُ. And this is another issue that doesn't necessarily have to do with fasting, but this is something that can also be related to fasting. وَمَنْ دَخَلَ فِي فَرْضٍ مُوَسِّعٍ حَرُمَ قَطْعُهُ. Let's say, for example, we have wajib, we have different types of wajib. We have something that is called wajib muwassi'. Wajib muwassi', it means that the obligatory time is in, but the time to perform that actual act of worship is wide. For example, right now, in a minute, they're going to call the adhan for Isha. Isha, every salah is considered wajib muwassi'. Muwassi', yani there's a time limit in between. Usually when you have to do some wajib, it's considered wajib fawran. Wajib means right now you must do it. However, when the time for the salat comes in, this means it is obligatory starting at this time. However, a person has the option to pray it as soon as it comes in or delay it to a later time. This is called wajib muwassi'. Yani it's wide to do that act of worship that is obligatory. Wadih? Is that clear? طيب. So then, وَمَنْ دَخَلَ فِي فَرْضٍ مُوَسَّعٍ حَرَمَ قَطْعُهُ. If a person does this act of worship in a time period that is wide, expansive. If, like say for example, it's time for Salatul Isha right now, and it's wide. We can pray it now, we can pray it later. But we say, okay, we're going to pray it now. So we start praying Isha right now. And while we're praying, I say, you know what? I have something to do. I'm just going to break my salat and go handle my business because I know I still have time. And then I'll come back. This is muharram. This is ma yajuz. This is not permissible to do. وَلَا يَلْزَمُ فِي النَّفْلِ. However, it is also not wajib to make up a nafl. Say, for example, a person is praying sunnah prayers. And they start praying their sunnah prayer and they leave them off and they don't continue to make them up. They don't have to make them up. They don't have to pray their sunnah prayer again. Is that clear? Or no? Like, ahsant. Right now, after Salatul Isha, there are 2 sunnah prayers. Like, you start to pray it, and while you're praying, you know, I have something to do. I'm going to break it off and I'll pray it later. This right here, la yalzamu fil nafli. Yani, it's not obligatory for that person to make that up. Okay? Same thing if a person's fasting. Say it's a sunnah fast for you. It's a sunnah fast. You started off fasting on Monday, the whole day. You say, you know what? That pizza smells good. I'm going to just buy me a slice. And you just buy yourself a slice of pizza and you eat it. The fact that your intention was to fast that day, but you broke your fast, you don't have to make that fast up. Why not? Because it's recommended. It's a recommended fast, not an obligatory fast. Is that clear? So then there's a distinction between things that are obligatory and things that are recommended. واضح? طيب. The next issue. وَلَا قَضَاءُ فَاسِدِهِ إِلَّا الْحَجِّ. There's no making up of anything that is voluntary except for Hajj. If a person is making Hajj and they already made Hajj before and they say, you know what, I'm going to make Hajj this year. They put their money down. They already made their obligatory Hajj out the way. Now they're making a Sunnah Hajj for themselves. They start off the Hajj and they get out there and they say, man, it is too crowded. It's too hot. I'm getting scared. Whatever the case may be. And they back out of the Hajj. It is obligatory for them to go back the following year and make that Hajj again. And this is due to the statement of Allah Jalla wa Ala, where Allah says, وَأَتِمُّ الْحَجَّ وَالْعُمْرَةَ لِلَّهِ. Allah says, وَأَتِمُّ حَجَّ وَالْعُمْرَةَ لِلَّهِ. Atimmu means complete. If a person makes Hajj or they make Umrah, they have to complete it. Some of the ulama also use this ayah to mean that it is obligatory to make Hajj and Umrah. And so for that reason, you'll find some ulama even mentioning the obligation of even making Umrah. Some of them mention the obligation of even making Umrah. طيب. And the last piece here, the Shaykh Rahimahullah Ta'ala, he says, وَتُرْجَى لَيْلَةُ الْقَدْرِ فِي الْعَشْرِ الْأَوَاخِرِ. And then he says, look for Laylatul Qadr during the last 10 nights of Ramadan. Look for Laylatul Qadr during the last 10 nights of Ramadan. وَأَوْتَارِهِ آكَدُوا. And it is more likely you'll find them during the odd nights. During the odd nights. And they say, وَلَيْلَةُ السَّبْعِ وَعَشْرِينَ أَبْلَغُ وَيَدْعُوا فِيهَا بِمَا وَرَدْ. And he says, it is highly likely that a person will find Laylatul Qadr during the 27th night of Ramadan. And when we were in school, we found there are different ahadith that mention several nights, the odd nights. The 21st, 23rd, 25th, 27th, and 29th. And then there's another hadith. It says, one of the companions said, the Prophet ﷺ, he mentioned that Laylatul Qadr is on the 27th night. So when we were studying this in school, I was confused. Well, we have a hadith here that clearly says the 27th night. And then we have other ahadith that mention the odd nights. So we went to Sheikh Muhammad ibn Adam al-Ethiopi. He's one of the major scholars in Mecca. A few years back, he just got a chair in the Haram. He teaches in Masjid al-Haram in Mecca right now. And so at that time, we could say he was like our neighbor. He lived in the same neighborhood as us. And he would never, if you wanted to talk to him, you had to move and talk, because he would never stand still and talk to you. So you'd be walking, talking to his ear with your book behind, trying to write down whatever he's saying. So the Sheikh was walking, and I said, Sheikh, I'm having a problem. I don't understand. We have a hadith that says that Laylatul Qadr was the 27th night. And then there's other ahadith that say that it's on the odd nights. So I said, Sheikh, well, I don't understand. And then he looked at me and said, that year was on the 27th. And on any other year, it could be any of the other odd nights. I said, that was simple. And so, just like that, he made a situation that I thought was difficult, he made it real easy. He said, no, in this hadith, the Prophet ﷺ said it was on the 27th night. That was that year. But each year is going to fluctuate. So therefore, Nabi ﷺ, he said, look for it during the last 10 nights, during the odd nights. طيب. And then he says, فِيهَا بِمَا وَرَدْ. And then there's a hadith, a dua, that should be made during this night. When a person makes the dua, Allahumma innaka afuwun tuhibbul afwa fa'fu anni. This hadith or this dua is a tremendous dua. And there's I think we have a audio that would teach someone how to actually make this dua. Maybe we'll post this online. A person can listen to it and learn how to make this dua. And this is a tremendous, tremendous dua that it says, An Aisha qalat, Ya Rasulullah, in wafaqtana fabima ad'u. He said, if we were blessed, if we were blessed to see Laylatul Qadr, what should we say? What dua should we make? And he said, Quli. He said to her, say this dua. Allahumma innaka afuwun tuhibbul afwa fa'fu anni. And some say fa'fu anna. Fa'fu anni means me, pardon me. Fa'fu anna means pardon us. It says, oh Allah, Allahumma, oh Allah, indeed you are the one that pardon. And you love the pardon, so pardon me or pardon us. And this is a tremendous dua that every Muslim should know and to learn. And remember, ikhwan wa akhawat, brothers and sisters, Islam is not a sprint, but it is a marathon. Take your time, learn what you can. The purpose of it, learning the religion, is to help every last one of us get closer to Allahu Jalla wa Ala. And with that, we're going to finish our next class, inshallah ta'ala. We will cover Bab al-I'tikaf, how to spend the nights in the masjid during the last 10 nights. And once we finish that, inshallah ta'ala, we're going to go into Zakatul Fitr. How does a person pay Zakatul Fitr? And then we're going to end off this series with Salatul Eid. What is required for Salatul Eid, so on and so forth. Any questions? Tafadhal ya Sheikh.
I got two questions. The first question was, you mentioned when somebody said, if I let do this for me, I'm going to do this for him. Is that?
I didn't say that.
No, I'm saying like if somebody said, if I let do this for me.
Oh, if Allah does this for me, then I'm going to do this.
Maybe I'm going to make 2 rakah or I'm going to.
Okay. No.
Is permissible? You can do that. You can say that.
Sure. Sheikh Salih Ali Sheikh, rahimahullah ta'ala, or Habibullah, may Allah preserve him. He mentioned in one of his works about this particular issue. Why would a person put on himself an obligation to perform an act of worship? If you can't do that act of worship, it is still upon you. Why would a person do that? It's not haram, but why would you do that? You don't have to, right? You're not, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did not obligate you to do something like that, right? But if you do that, then you must perform that act of worship. If you do it, you must perform that act of worship. Now, what was the other question?
The second question wasn't about this. When you, for example, when you come for that Salatul Isha, Salatul Maghrib, and they already pray Isha. When you enter the masjid and they pray Isha and you just come, you pray Maghrib.
By day, inshallah. We'll talk about that later, because there's a lot of difference of opinion among the ulama on that issue. So if you go into the masjid and they're praying Isha and you didn't pray Maghrib, some of the ulama you can find in Sharh al-Kabir and even in Al-Mughni, there's many different narrations of what to do. However, what comes to mind quickly is that a person joins the salah with the intention of praying their sunnah. Join the salah with the 4 rak'at with the intention of praying their sunnah. Once they finish, then they pray Maghrib, and then they pray Isha. Allahu A'lam. Some say la. When they come in, you separate yourself. You pray Maghrib first, and then you join. I even heard some say you join the Salat, and on the third rak'ah, you sit down while they stand up. And you understand? There's a lot of... Inshallah, when we go back to Kitab al-Salat, when we finish the book of Salat, we'll cover that in detail. And we'll give you the difference of opinion among the Salaf, the scholars of the past, what positions they hold with regards to those issues, inshallah. Tayyib? Anyone else? We're going to stop with that. Nah. If you miss some days of Ramadan, fasting? Huh? Ahsant. I'm glad you asked that. He said, if a person missed some days of Ramadan, but they want to fast the 6 days of Shawwal, do they have to make up that fast first and then fast the 6 days, or so on and so forth? They want to do it. Some of the ulama differ on that. Some even say once you finish the days of Ramadan, you can fast the 6 days of Shawwal and then make them up. Some say la, you must make them up and then fast. There's a lot of kalam, a lot of information about that. And I'm lastu ahlan min li tarjih. I'm not from the people that can give you tarjih. I don't have tarjih. I don't have the ability to say this is what's really correct and that's not. I haven't researched it to that level. However, my recommendation for you and people like you is that you look through some of the statements of the scholars that you trust, and whatever they say in regards to that, then you follow that, inshallah ta'ala. Khalas? سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.